That's the least amount I've ever had as fire. Anybody from the fire department asks me for money, license.
It's pittance, isn't it? Look about 8 more zeros behind it, right?
It's either heroes or there's zeros. We're just trying to relate it.
I was hurrying the other day, and it's this incline going up, and I stepped up on it and I tripped.
They,
And I went,
I'm sure there's some trees around town. They got.
it's up there, there, and my hand.
That's where their hero got taken away from.
I don't think nothing.
Be careful of some of that stuff too, just to go.
Oh, it's a turn.
Well, no, but it has to help. It doesn't help a lot of times.
Well,
I mean, I have trouble that way.
okay, so we're at 9:30, so we can start our work study session for Dickinson County Commission. And of course, I think everybody's familiar, but just to point out, this is something where we gather information, but it's not something where we can take formal action and make motions and seconds and so on. But at least we kind of have a chance to bring things to the forefront. And I guess a few things have changed on this request,
Yes.
but still a good time to bring it up for discussion. So do you want to segue us into that, or do you want to have the?
So I was contacted by the
Fire chief.
Chapman Fire Chief, and he requested that come in and speak with you in regards to the Rescue 3 area. And I'll see about pulling that up on the map so you can see exactly what we're talking about purchasing a truck, a light duty truck, if you will. So we have donated in the past equipment to Rescue 3, but that is the extent of that. And I'm just going to let Nick take over from here because he'll have more information as to what exactly we're going to use, or they're going to use the truck for.
Okay.
And I'll pull up the area so you can see exactly what we're talking about.
So, good morning. So 2 years ago, we took over the Rescue 3 district from Fire District 1 out of the necessity of staffing and response, being able to fill the response. Since we took that over, we've been putting the rescue equipment, extrication tools, rope rescue, that kind of stuff, that kind of equipment onto a structure engine. It really wasn't designed to carry all that extra equipment along with the structure equipment. We've gotten to a point now where we're out of room, but we need to add more equipment to the truck to be able to proficiently serve the community in our rescue district. So what I've been looking at is purchasing a light duty, medium duty, kind of a mixed term back and forth rescue truck that would complement Rescue 1 and Rescue 2, being that it would be a smaller truck to be able to get off-road into areas that their trucks can't get into, that we would be able to get into. Because they've had a few accidents out in the pasture fields, rollovers and embankments and stuff that they've had to work on getting equipment off the big truck onto a low truck to get back there to take care of these people. I originally had a truck that fit the build and it was looking good. I'm talking to you guys about it. And last evening, the department called and said, we're taking it off the market. We're going to keep it. Apparently there was an issue within their department. There's other trucks I've been looking at. I provided pictures, information on one of them. The price ranges that I'm looking at is anywhere between $55,000 and $75,000 currently. I have the ability through my department to take approximately a $30,000 loan from our FRA, which is our Firefighters Relief Act, basically retirement fund. We could take a 50% loan against that, and then the city pays it back over time. So in essence, what I'm coming to ask the commission, the county to help with would be filling that gap beyond the $30,000 to purchase this rescue truck that not only it's not just for the city of Chapman. We cover the Rescue 3 district, which is.
I don't have, that's the fire district map, but there's not a.
So we cover west from Chapman, we cover from Lark Road east to the county line. north of the county line and down to 1,900, a primary area, secondary areas down to 1,400. So that kind of third of the county up in the corner there. Last year, we ran 57 rescue calls. Only 2 of those rescues were actually within the city limits of Chapman. The rest of them were all on the county and I-70, K-18, and so on. You guys have any questions?
So just as a reminder, we've got the 2 rescue trucks in the county, one stationed in Abilene and one stationed in Harrington. And when we first rolled that out, those were purchased with Homeland Security dollars, and we've done that twice. Harrington has I don't want to say it's newer, it is newer, but it's still a used truck. And we've been setting money aside to replace the truck in Abilene. And what we've done, the county has purchased them and then turned them over to the cities to manage through their fire departments because they have the resources and the personnel to do that. They pay for the maintenance, the upkeep, the insurance, whatnot on those. So, but Rescue 3 had come about, like Nick said, a few years ago. And when we had some rescue equipment that was available, then we were able to reallocate it to this district because they do roll on calls. Whereas maybe Abilene or Harrington, it might be a little bit of a delay or whatnot for them to be able to get there. So.
Do some places, either the townships or the cities take care of that?
In other counties? I think it just depends on which county. So for
It's the
instance,
size of the county.
at the size of the county, it just depends on how their fire departments are structured and what they do. Some of them are county run, some of them are city run, some of them, obviously we've got township fire departments as well, but those are a lot smaller and it's volunteer.
And everybody covers for each other.
Right. And they do that here as well. So there's mutual aid agreements in place for all of our fire departments and the rescue trucks as well when they roll.
But as you pointed out, we participate with the purchase. Of course, we had the Homeland Security before, like you said. But then the city of Chapman, and for example, would take over maintenance and upkeep,
Right.
housing and.
Exactly. Yes.
So now is that formalized in a MOU or something, or is it just kind of a handshake deal because it's always been that way?
We don't have an MOU with Rescue 3.
I don't believe that was prior to but I thought there was something that was signed because my city council had to approve it.
Let me look.
So that would be something, at least we'd want to have, I mean, I don't think it'd have to be lengthy,
If it was, it might have been with the fire district.
but it'd be good to have something in place just so.
So I do know our city council, when we took over for Rescue 3, council had to approve it.
Approved.
Because we were they wanted to see the map laid out and everything. I don't know if you remember going through that.
That was before mine as well, but let me see what I can find.
So you said there were 57 calls
In
last year for your
our district.
district alone.
And this year, I think we're up to 9 already for the year. Some of those being some significant, last significant wreck was all the way up Union and 3,200. We had a significant accident up there that required a lengthy extrication. Patient was flown from the scene by helicopter to Kansas City. Along with other numerous accidents with extrication that we've had as well. The other issue we're into is like the access equipment we have now, we have it stored on an enclosed trailer. We ran into where we get on scene and we need some of that equipment that's in that trailer that we didn't foresee. You know, we tried to triage the call of, hey, we're gonna need this equipment. Didn't foresee needing this equipment, so we had to send somebody back to the station to retrieve that extra equipment. So we had it, so that kind of like lengthened the process of getting them free from where they were at.
So if it's west of Lark Road and to the north, who covers that?
We do, primary, as Nick said earlier.
This is Chief Strong, so.
Yeah, I didn't know if I.
You can
Go ahead,
We can hear you.
you can both kind of get up there to.
Anyway, yeah, that would be our primary. There is a swath in there that's some dual response. Again, we go over there and assist them. They come and assist us.
Just speaking of this too, like he said, he's keeping his stuff on a structure engine. We're a lot of times on a significant accident, we're out there for multiple hours. When it's below freezing, structure engine isn't, ideal piece of apparatus for that. That's primarily used in their city, so you're taking that coverage away from them as well. And then significant weather, everyone knows we cover quite a few miles of I-70, and usually we have multiple accidents at the same time, so this allows us to make sure everyone's covered as well. Like he said, our trucks are big, a lot heavier. We've had at least 2 motor UTV rollovers. It's a matter of time before it's a tractor or skid loader where we need heavier equipment where we can't get our big trucks. So I personally think it would be a benefit as well to have something that's a little different purpose, 4-wheel drive capability and whatnot. So.
Okay.
And also, Nick brought it up earlier, and we're doing a good job. Been working with the county. The other Chapman and Harrington getting more specialized equipment, updated rescue rope systems, bringing in outside training for that. So we're increasing our technical skill level too, which also takes increased equipment. We don't have room to put it all on our truck. We need it split up because depending on who's closer, getting there first, start setting it up. And again, you get up in that northeast part of the county, that's a long pull for us before we get there with additional equipment. So that'd be a huge benefit for that part of the county.
And you mentioned the rope or chains, and maybe this has more to do with the tow truck, but if someone's really on a ravine or incline, because some of the terrain.
Yeah.
Well,
The winch on the front of this, the pictures you have there, the winch on the front of this would be, be helpful because you'd be able to put that winch down there and secure it from, further falling down further in the ravine.
Mhm.
Yeah, and rope wise, we're talking about high angle, low angle, where we're carrying a couple, 3 bags with 200 foot of rope. I mean, that all takes up room. We carry copper dams for drain engulfment, airbags for heavy liftings. I mean, I think our body on our truck's 16 foot long. I mean, there's no room left with all the specialized equipment that we're having to carry. And they're trying to put that on a structured truck that also has to have firefighting equipment.
Okay, thank you.
So like the truck that I have there in front of you, it's listed at 55. A message back and forth with them last night and this morning. They gave me some information on it. I asked, any accidents, issues, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. With this truck here, they told me that last year they went through the Power Stroke 7.3 motor pre-emissions, but they went through and replaced all the cooling system in the front of it, water pump, hoses, radiators, and so on. Recently remanufactured. This truck actually comes with a full set of rescue tools on it, including pumps as well. That's worth probably $10,000 in itself. But the pump was refurbed in 2022. Tools were recertified in 2025. The reason this department is decommissioning this truck is they purchased 2 new trucks and they divided the equipment onto those trucks. So.
Do you have questions or?
Well, Harley has any miles, 36,000.
36,000, yeah,
That's really for a 7.3 diesel engine. That's really no mileage.
yeah, it's low miles, just broke in, not even broke in, I
Yeah.
would say. This department's the second owner of the truck, originally came out of Alabama, it's currently in Indiana, so.
So this one is available.
This one is available, yep. Yes, sir. They said they would accept any offer, so I threw a low offer at them. We'll see if they come back. I threw 40,000 at them. See if they, if that's too low for them or what. So, but just trying to get the ball rolling and see if we can, secure some funds to make this happen. I know it might get brought up that currently our station only has 2 bays in Chapman. Our council approved bids for a new fire station. Next Wednesday, they are going to be signing off on the financing for it. We're building a 4-bay fire station there in town. So we'll have room for the vehicles. In the meantime, we've been renting a pole barn that if we were able to purchase this size truck, we would be able to put that in that temporary station that we're using. currently to keep it out of weather, keep it housed until the station be finished, probably July, August this year.
A couple of things I see, I appreciate all you guys working together and letting us know what you need. There's no way we understand what you need. But when you guys come here and let us know, we sure want to support that because our citizens and safety of the folks and safety of our community lies in you guys' hands. So we appreciate that.
Well, Janelle, did I understand correct? There's only a third truck and that's at Harrington?
Right, there's,
So that covers the whole
Mhm.
south part of the county?
so they've got, let me scroll down here a little bit. So there's kind of a cutoff line here. Maybe a little bit further south, right?
It's K4 highway.
Yeah.
And it jumps north.
And then at north, yeah, so.
I was just gonna bring up that I did talk to Nick. There are a couple available grants out there that I'm gonna assist him, or he's gonna assist me with in starting from right at the beginning of April. So if it was approved for the county, we could look at if, like, one of those is $15,000. If we were a lucky recipient, we would of course just reimburse the county what they paid us, but we just don't wanna miss out on this opportunity of this truck that's available.
So the timing would be there.
Mhm.
What would be our financial obligation and how's that break out again?
Well,
I guess it depends on what the amount is.
Right,
We
right.
need to get paid back.
Mhm. So
Away a little bit from,
it would be, what they're requesting is a 50-50 split on whatever vehicles purchased, and they would be borrowing half of that through their fire relief fund, but if we could apply for grants to offset that. Otherwise, we have been trying to set money aside in the all hazard equipment fund, but otherwise it would just come out of those, that's where the funding would come from.
Right now, in the all hazard equipment fund, there's $181,000 right now. We've also, that was talked with the 800 communication system that was passed for that sales tax, that remaining funding would potentially be available for hazardous equipment replacement. So the thought was going to be that we'd be able to get some funding from there. I haven't been able to confirm really those prices until we are done completing all of the expenses on the 800 radios to really be able to run some true numbers to see what's going to be remaining after those 5 years when we pay off any lease purchase for the radios. And those remaining funds would plan to be utilized for a rescue truck in the future, whatever was left from that 800 radio project. So that's going to be a portion of the fund, but if you were to take action at this time, I'd recommend using the hazardous equipment replacement fund, the dollars that are available there, and then that's something we can look to pay back. Even if we were able to get a grant, we'd be able to put it back into that fund, so that using those funds there.
now you have a vehicle now, but it's really doesn't serve the purposes and.
That's correct. We have, like I said, it's a structure engine. Its primary duty when it was built was to fight fires, house fires. So we've, got the equipment crammed in nooks and crannies in there to make by and get through it.
So what are your plans for that?
So that truck will maintain, that's our primary structure engine for the city of Chapin, for structure
You
protection.
still could utilize it.
It'll still, it'll maintain.
Transfer capabilities.
Yeah, like I said, it'll allow us to have this truck would allow us to have all of our equipment in one toolbox, versus two separate toolboxes. Would be one toolbox, and alleviate the concern like Cale brought up of, the sub-zero days, freezing a water pump up and costing us, $20,000 for a frozen pump that, blew out the side of a impeller housing or so on, so.
So is this something that to place on the agenda today or?
That's entirely up to you. If you would like to wait and discuss it with Kenny when he's back next week. Because he hasn't seen the information on the new truck or the letter that, he saw the original letter that Nick had sent, but that's it, so.
I mean, in some ways, I kind of like to keep things moving along if it's,
Mhm.
I mean, I think it's, I mean, there is the possibility that truck would no longer be available
That
in a
is,
week or two. I mean, I just,
Right.
and he did see the agenda. If he didn't
Correct.
express any concerns to you to, like, no, this is a real big deal, let's hold off or anything, or did he?
I talked to him briefly this
Neutral.
morning. He's got some questions about us funding, the county funding that. He does, as to why we're doing that.
Now, can we give him a back brief after the meeting?
Mhm.
You give him a call, and give him a briefing of what?
Right, and obviously this is online, so he'll be able to watch the meeting as well.
I want to speak to that a little bit, I guess.
Yes. Please.
On, as far as concern as the county assisting with that, I'm happy that Chapman was willing to pick that service up after District 1 didn't want to continue that. They're fronting all the expense for the man hours, dedicated training. If it wasn't for them, again, that's a long haul for us from our station.
Yeah.
And we could potentially be on another call. So it's a huge benefit. So I appreciate them being willing to do that. And I think that it's a good thing. I mean, it's covering a county service essentially out of the city of Chapman. They shouldn't be using their dedicated brush or structure engine for that purpose. However, they are. But this is somewhat of an incentive and payback for them being willing to do that. And it'll all in all be providing better service to the county. So that's why I think the county should throw some skin in the game. So
Sure.
and to add on that, like, we've bought other specialized equipment towards rescue that we probably wouldn't have picked up the cost of. We bought a set of airbags, airlifting bags. Benny and myself went in jointly on a purchase to get those. So they have an upgraded set. We have an upgraded set now, and things like that.
A little bit what Ron mentioned, maybe you could text Kenny and kind of say we're considering putting this on the agenda. We still have till
Right.
11 o'clock to decide that, but I do, there are some disadvantages to holding back on it.
Mhm.
You know?
I have a question.
Yes,
I'm a taxpayer. I live right outside of Chapman. Our Hay Meadow butts up to I-70. We've had several fires start because of change or other things. These guys have a hard time getting, oh, there's a major wreck. How many major wrecks have we had miles west of Chapman? If you've had to have multiple vehicles. And so, this is a county deal. And I pay county taxes. These guys are doing county work. We better have some skin in the game for these guys. I'd rather fund my fire department than a lot of things. So,
okay. And for the record, go ahead and state your name.
Lori Hambright on 2700 Avenue, just northwest of Chapman.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I texted him, and if I get a response, I will let you know.
Okay, and he can call too.
He
if
could.
He wants to.
Mhm.
No, and sometimes it comes to mind, I mean, what if I have something come up, so I'm not here next week or on, so,
Yeah.
so I mean, I think we still need to keep things moving along if it's, depending on what it is, so. I mean, there are some things that we need more work study time and research and information to be gathered. And we've kind of had this happen before. I know it was on the sheriff's department where they had a vehicle all picked up and ready to go. And what was there at 9 o'clock and the day before, by 11 o'clock, it was gone. So there's people all over the nation that are sometimes after the same vehicle.
Mhm. I know that Amber's doing the department update, but Martin is here and he could review the the annual management and noxious weed eradication report briefly, if you like. It's a housekeeping matter for that
Yeah.
intent.
Yearly.
So,
Department Day, Director of Public Works, just our yearly management plan for the weeds. It is not a lot changed. The back half of it, it's record on the money we spent last year. You turn that in with your application or your plan. And basically what it's telling you is that we're trying to keep the noxious weeds down and we'll keep spraying. Okay, bindweed, musk thistle, lesbides, and Johnson grass are our 4 biggest weeds, and we have infestation in the county and we will keep after it. I don't know, unless you have questions on it, the only thing that changes is a little bit of money that we show what we spend everywhere,
Mhm.
That varies from year to year, but
And this is the management plan that we
sign it, we have
sign
to
off
send
on
it
every
in.
year and review.
Yeah, so you can't, so we can send it to the Department of Agriculture and the KDH.
State's requiring us
We
to,
have to send it in every year.
this is one of those lovely statutorily mandated services that we're required to provide.
So if there were any changes on it, you would hear.
We would
stay.
And they would let us know that it's a major change, then we would obviously bring it to you. But yeah, it's almost word for word what it was last year, except for the amount.
Okay,
So,
very good, thank you.
Yeah.
Ron, you have any questions?
Thank you, Martin.
Ron's very familiar with that. Thanks,
Like
Mayor.
point on the chairman.
Here, I'll give this,
I think so.
Martin, I'll give this to you. This is, road grooming.
Oh.
Road grooming.
This is road grooming.
All right,
Right up
there you
your
go.
alley.
I don't know what that is.
I'll get you the copy once, once it's going to be signed.
Okay.
I don't know what 3 of them have to sign, as long as the 2 of them are approving it. So.
Do something.
Okay, Amber, if you're ready, we're ready for you.
Amber Piper, 911 Director. I don't have anything overly exciting for you guys today, but just a few updates. We completed the radio integrated side, so all of the responders' radios were hand touched and the encryption was in place. So that's all completed except for maybe 1 or 2 stragglers, but that might even be completed now. So that means we are officially compliant with CGIS, the state of Kansas rules on the encryption. So that's good news. We're not fully done with the 800 radio system. We have a couple issues with towers. We had one audit that came back with some stuff that we need to look at. Those are just minor things, such as some rusty parts that weren't put on now. It's on one of the older towers that needs to be relooked at. And then with the Harrington Tower, we still have a fiber issue that AT&T is working on. So we're getting closer to being completed with those. Another area that I've been working on the last couple months was our 911 audit. So how 911 operates is on 2 different budgets. So we have the county general fund, and then we have the 911 funds that are provided to us by the state of Kansas based on the fees and everything that's paid in by everyone. And then the council takes based on the population of places and divides it equally through their formula and gives us the money through that. We are able to be mostly self-sufficient on operating costs through that. So we've been have to go through quite a process to go line by line to make sure they know what we've spent their money on. So Marcus and I got the word yesterday that our 2025 audit was approved. So we did great there. We did go over that 911 budget last year by $9,000. So that's something that we want to watch closer this year. We went through and took out maybe some things that we thought were maybe non-essential that we hadn't used in the 2 years that they've been in place. So Janelle and I discussed that. So we did away with one to help save $4,000 just to try to come in under that budget. So we're not using funds to cover that excessiveness from somewhere else. But on a positive note, the general fund for dispatch last year, we came in under budget of $103,000. So I'm sure you guys okay that number. We also, in doing the audit, Marcus and I found like one bill that was actually paid twice. So we were able to recover those funds. We found some discrepancies for things such as like tower leases were being paid out of 2 different funds. So we just wanted to make it more efficient. So we really looked at all of that. So we think we're on good track for this year. Other news of dispatch, we officially got 2 people out of training this week, so that puts us at 5 full staff. We still operate with 4 part-time people to fill in not being fully staffed at 8 or 9 yet. But we're getting there. We have another applicant that we're interviewing on Monday, and then we have another one just starting the process of the testing and everything. So we're getting real close there. Another thing, Alyssa with the IT department, she has taken a job with the State of Kansas 911 Coordinating Council. So some of her responsibilities are transitioning over onto me. So I'm learning those, especially the tasks of active 911, or she's the IT person that really does a lot of the support for dispatch and all of the Tyler products, mobile, everything, crew force for the guys. So I'm looking at taking on a lot of those responsibilities and response plans. We worked with the sheriff's department, and then going to move forward, I'm working with the other law enforcements to move everything to paperless this year. We still hold on to folders for like warrants and NCIC entries like stolen vehicles and such. But what ends up happening with papers, I'm sure you guys are aware, they keep a folder, we keep a folder. There's a lot of passing of paper, printing, scanning. It just takes extra time. So we're wanting to make all of that paperless. We got the procedures and policies down. We're just working some on the technology side with Tyler to turn on, and I can't figure out why some of our modules aren't working. As of yesterday, we had 3 developers working on it. So hopefully we're getting closer on that. Other than that, I've taken on a bigger role for our wellness committee. So this year we decided for the countywide wellness committee that we really wanted to focus more on team building, creating ways to make more people participate in some of the stuff that happens within the county. So we've initiated a monthly tasks that people participate in. They're having a lot of fun with that. I've been happy with the participation numbers, so that each of our departments aren't siloed, that we're working more together. They're earning points towards some type of reward at staff development day. So people are really enjoying that. And then I'll just end with, pretty soon I'm going to be bringing you guys a proposal for a computerized call taking system. But I wanted to wait to present that to you guys until all 3 of you are here, in case there's a split vote. So, if you guys have any questions?
Well, one thing too, in addition, I appreciate what you brought up earlier, and I think shows how department heads work together, and various agencies. When you said that you could search for a grant, a possible grant that would help on this rescue truck for Chapman.
Yes.
And, I think we just need to be looking at every possibility there is, and,
Yes.
but I appreciate the crossover support.
Yeah, we know of 2 out there, specifically the firehouse. The firehouse sub grant comes available again April 1st. So that's one that Nick and I will be writing for. And like I said, if it was approved from the county, then we would be able to pay those funds back. And then there was another grant out there that we'll be applying for.
So I guess the other thing is sometimes, say a lot of calls come in to 911 and then that feeds into another county.
Correct.
And yet everything's taken care of smoothly, and
Yeah.
we help Saline County or Gary and they help us.
Yes, so primarily when you're looking at Saline County, the helping out is more on the fire department. So Saline County District 1 and 5 actually respond into our areas as mutual aid set in place. But for sure, if any county ever called with a need, our guys would jump on assisting as well. I'm sure you're aware, but like Nick ran the task force group that went down close to Wichita, and they were down there for 3 days, and there was a lot of guys.
Further west.
But yeah, so.
Wichita's Western Kansas. Well, that's what they always say in Kansas City, when you get,
Yeah, but that was just.
but it's southwest corner.
Yeah, there's no, there's no mutual aid for that, but it's just a county in need. But yeah, Salina comes into, anytime we have anything in the town of Solomon, Salina's already a mutual aid built there for fire, structure fires. And then Harrington area especially does a really great job. We go into Morris County and assist in when you're talking of rescue trucks, like when there's a bad accident in Morris County, our rescue trucks actually go down there and assist, and we get called out there a lot for code blue medical, for like our ALS capabilities and stuff.
Well, one thing that, and it shouldn't surprise me, but I thought it was interesting. You told me that when the Chapman tornado
Yes,
took place, that you actually became involved with that as a dispatcher
correct.
in,
Yeah.
out of Saline County.
Yes, so I had the wonderful opportunity to attend County Day this year at the Capitol. So yeah, when I was telling you about that, it was actually when I worked in Salina. So the call came in as an explosion at Crestwood as we move into storm season here. But it was a nice day. We didn't have a lot of warning for those storms coming in. So the first call, like I said, came in at that Crestwood cabinetry place as an explosion. That's how we paged it out. We didn't know for 10 minutes until the weather service called in that was actually a tornado. By the time we knew it was a tornado and that it had hit somewhere in Salina, it had actually went over Salina and was already in Chapman. And because of the rollover here in Dickinson County of all of their calls coming in, the calls were then, how 911 works is if your county is inundated, they roll to a neighboring county. So the calls were coming into Salina. So I was on the phone with the Chapman person whose arm had been severed. And at that point, I can help try to control the bleeding, but it's not a very good feeling when I can't send them help and I'm just trying to get through to
Give them
Dickinson
verbal
County.
instructions or.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Dickinson County on the line who's busy so they can get medical help started. So you work a lot with neighboring counties for sure.
Well, I think, sometimes there's all levels of first responders, you might say. And so I really appreciate the work you and your staff do because, it's all as a team and the information you're gathering and getting out.
Yes, and then one thing that you learned at County Day, or you probably already knew as well, but one of the bills out there is really focused on EMD right now, the bill in the legislation. They're trying to make it for the state of Kansas, going back and forth on whether EMD is required of all counties or TCPR to be given to any caller that would call in. So Dickinson County should already be proud that for a smaller agency with two or even one on at a time, that we are EMD certified.
When do you want to identify what EMD stands for in the TCR?
Sorry about, sometimes I forget about that part. EMD.
Ron knows, but I need that.
You need to.
EMD is emergency medical dispatch. So any medical call that comes in for Dickinson County, we're providing instructions to citizens, whether it be to stop the bleed, deliver a baby. We have instructions 3 different ways, CPR, unconscious, just to make sure they maintain that open airway before responders are on scene. A lot of times with an unconscious person, it's just as easy as if we can get the caller to roll them on their back, gently tilt their head back. Sometimes when people go unconscious, they tend to go like that. It closes their airway. So that's why we want to get them on their back with their head tilted. And you hear instantly, as soon as you can get a caller to do that, in many cases, that person starts breathing, their caller starts looking a lot better, certain things like that. So EMT is just like every medical call that comes in, we can give them instructions. Sometimes if it's not a higher priority call, you're just simply letting them know it's recommended not to have anything to eat or drink, cause further problems, put away the pets, gather up the medications, help flag down the medics, stuff like that. TCPR is just ensuring that anytime somebody would call that would need CPR, you can give it over the telephone, the instructions. So many agencies in Kansas, especially your littler ones that either can't afford the cost of being certified or just don't have the manpower to stay on the phone with them, don't offer those services. So as Janelle knows, when one of our dual responses to Morris County, within the last couple of months, a call came in to me of a person that was believed to be code blue in a car, so unconscious, not breathing. Their dispatchers are not certified or have the training to give medical instructions. So I requested that I speak to their caller. They transferred her in. And then I was able to talk to the lady. She couldn't get him out of the car because of the size and her size for the male subject. But she was able to recline the seat and attempt to open up the airway for him before getting there.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Always gather and learn a lot of information
Yes.
from these reports and
Didn't know if you had any questions for the CUP that's before you, so Tim is here if you
well, I thought,
do.
yes, we should have Tim at least come up and give us a little bit of an overview of that. So if there are any questions, we can, and that is on the agenda for later too, so.
Yeah. Tim Hamilton, Planning and Zoning. Good morning, gentlemen. This is a conditional use permit that staff determined normally under any other normal circumstance, this probably would have been an accessory use. This is for a farm stand. However, even though this particular lot is zoned agricultural because farm stands are allowed in agricultural districts, technically, this is a platted lot. It is part of a platted subdivision as well as adjacent to a couple of zoned residential subdivisions in just outside of Chapman on Nicholson Road. And in those types of situations, it was one of those things where do I take this to the planning commissioner because they allow it by right? And I felt for traffic issues because of Nicholson Road being the primary entry and exit for those, that subdivision that's in there. I felt that if the planning commission should at least give me direction or comment on how this should go. Their interpretation is that it should not have gone before them. And they were requesting that the applicant be reimbursed the $200 application fee. However, this also falls on the heels of a previous case, which you all did not see, and it was withdrawn before it got to you, was on the north part of the county where we had a similar request with a different, not only baked goods or whatever, but also selling shoes and tools and things like that, that they were requesting north of the county as well. So it's that case never went before you because the applicant withdrew it. And so I felt that to make sure that I'm consistent with my interpretation of things, that I thought it would be a good idea just to get direction on this particular case, even though I don't have any issues with what the applicant is proposing. Basically, just the only recommendation that the planning commission gave was to recommend that the applicant be reimbursed, and only you guys have the authority to do that. Typically, our fees for conditional use permits will cover things like the publication as well as the notice sent to property owners within the surrounding area. So if you do decide to reimburse, what we can do is the only time we ever reimburse somebody is historically it's been if they withdraw an application before it gets published. If you do decide to reimburse, then we can modify our policy to reflect any kind of change that way that you would feel would need to be made for reimbursements. In this particular case, this is one of those unusual ones that was kind of on a hairline. Didn't know whether to just approve it as is or take it to the planning commission, and so it's the planning commission felt that it was not necessarily appropriate for them to review and just recommending. Staff is recommending approval of the conditional use permit as long as they abide by whatever the state of Kansas Cottage Industry Food Act requires. This would fall under whatever state would require their sales, types of venues, and also as long as the signage stays behind the property line. There would be no building permit would be required for this because it falls under square foot minimum that we have for building permits.
Do you foresee it would create a problem in the future if this was reimbursed, where all of a sudden we're gonna have some, well, you reimburse that, and here's another gray area, or?
Yeah, that's the thing that we have to, if we do this, then there would have to be some sort of policy change that would kind of outline the parameters that we would reimburse. Because right now, what it is, we reimburse only in the event that an applicant withdraws their application prior to a publication. So, but it's but I personally don't foresee this opening up a can of worms. It's just because this was technically one of those things that, like I say, it could have been, I could have approved it, I suppose, but I really, in my planner's mind, I think in terms of traffic and where the location is in relation to, in this particular case, Nicholson Road, even though it's a one way in, one way out. And I always think in terms of like traffic at certain times of the day and that kind of thing. That's, but it's, and my opinion is, I don't think it's going to cause a problem. And the planning commission didn't see that that was going to be an issue either. But in my planner's mind, I felt like I had to get direction from them as to, and probably going forward, what I can do is look at, and the planning commission did say that they're looking at, if they would like to see if there's possibly some parameters that they could put in that would trigger a conditional use permit for this type of use, things like size of the structure or I got a call just this week from somebody that wants to do something similar, and they're wanting to put in a commercial kitchen, and that would trigger a whole other animal. And so it's those types of things would probably trigger a conditional use permit, but in general, this particular use that they're requesting, I think wouldn't be an issue for traffic or anything, because it's, like I say, this is just going to serve the neighborhood.
It seems like the fee is a pass-through, and we did go through the procedure. It's not something you make money, and I guess there was a publication, and you did have the meeting, and the staff invested time in it. And if you don't invest the time in it and review those things, and the protection aspect isn't there, and then all of a sudden someone has to undo a building or try to change something dramatically. So, I mean, hindsight, but then again, if he would have approved something that needed to go through the process, I think I don't know that we need to really touch that part. I think the part I want to concentrate on is just, it gives them an opportunity to do something on their property, and
Yes.
It's a conditional use permit, and so I'm glad we have it on the agenda. We can approve it.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, Barb Barrett, part of planning and zoning. This issue before us, it was presented as a roadside stand for farm produce, eggs, home baked goods that fall under the Kansas cottage law. As a member of the board, when you read the regulations, those two uses, the produced on the land, the eggs, the produce and whatnot, that is an allowed use that you don't need permission to do. And this applicant is a home-based baker craftsman. It's a home occupation, and a couple bullet points down, an allowed use for Ag 40, which was the zone, gives them permission to do that. And so that's where the board's recommendation is coming from, was they don't have to ask for permission with a cup, because it's already outlined in our text that they are allowed to do that on their land.
But staff needs clarification.
So the requirement of paying the $200 is,
Or 250.
or $250, whatever it is, can be seen as an incredible amount of overreach that shouldn't have been collected in the first place, when it's clearly in the text that it is two allowed uses on the Ag 40 land, which is what it's zoned.
And just clarification also, it is the planning commission's responsibility to look at locations as well, not just the zoning that the district is in, but also look at the density of the area that it's located in, including the subdivisions that are zoned.
So is this more like when you drive down the road and you see someone and they've set up and
Yeah.
they're spelling
Yeah,
hay?
that's basically what it is. That's
Tomatoes
basically
out
what it is.
there and
Yes.
That's
it's not
basically-
necessarily manned 40 hours a day or whatever.
No, this
Yes.
is just seasonal.
Got
Well,
another,
remember, I live by Chapman, I drive by this all the time, I've actually been to this house. If you've not been to the area a lot, you don't understand the traffic flow, there is a big corner right there. I don't see it as an issue, and if you're gonna, I'm just gonna say, if you're gonna try to regulate, and these people are just being honest, trying to do the right thing. If you're gonna have them pay it, you're gonna have to line up a whole bunch of people in this county and start collecting permits. And is that what you're representing the county to be? I thought we were about families and the quality of life in our Mayberry. I live in that area. I go through there several times a day. And it's, I don't think it's gonna be a traffic thing. I've lived up there for almost 30 years. So, let's not pick on the people that pay our taxes.
So commissioners, he's following the process that we have in place. We've done this in the past for other stands. So that's why he did it, as well as for the traffic. So he's following the regulations that we have in place at this time.
And
So
going,
it's,
and going forward, what I was gonna say is that, like I say, the planning commission did say that we may wanna look at some provisions for going forward for, like, let's say, size of structure, that sort of
relax
thing,
that
trigger
provision.
a CUP. But what I would say is another thing is I could treat this in the future like any other accessory use or home occupation, which is I usually give a letter of approval on a home occupation and say that in the event that there's any issue with traffic, in the event that there's any issue with a change in the use, where there's they're going larger with the structure that they're wanting to do or go beyond what they've been approved for administratively, then it would have to come before the planning commission for a conditional use.
because as you've heard in the previous commission meetings, there are people that are putting up things without getting a building permit as well, and they're required to get a building permit in the county. So that's how we track those kinds of things. So I appreciate that the family was willing to come here and do that. We do need to look at our regulations, and that's what Tim and I have been talking about on the next step of what we need to do. But currently, this is what we have.
So there could be a revision come out of this.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it could be just as simple as just directing staff to interpret it like I would any other, all of these types of uses, regardless of where they're located. Just regarding it as either an accessory use or a home occupation that I can just, if somebody comes in and says, can I do this? I can give them an administrative letter basically saying yes, as long as you meet the home occupation requirements. And because if you exceed those requirements, then you would have to go through a conditional use permit, and if there's a complaint from someone saying traffic is an issue, then that would trigger a conditional use permit. But in this particular case, this is not just as simple as saying it's an Ag 40 and it shouldn't be going in front of them. This is a location issue, being that it's right next to a platted subdivision where there's people going in and out on Nicholson Road as well. So just wanted to clarify that.
I'm going to bring something up too. I misspoke, and the applicant had paid $200. So I had written $250 on my notes, but on here it does say 200.
200.
So
So
it's not the first time I've been wrong.
on a side note, excuse me, well, this is a little bit different, but straighten me out here. How is the farmer's market handled in town here, where everybody gathers? How is that handled?
They're given, I don't know.
I mean, I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's on private property, and what they do is they have like this one would be, but I said what they'll do is I don't know how the city regulates that. That's a city. They may require, like, they may have like an annual special use permit that they get where it's just, they sign off on it and say you can have this location. And then that way, I mean, I have no idea. I'm just.
And that's up to the city and their regulations on how they handle that.
And typically you see those in parking lots and
Yeah,
in other cities too, or inside buildings. Okay. I think that's all we have on this for now. And have you heard anything from Kenny or?
So his concern is, let me get his text back out, is obviously this is something that was not budgeted for. And making sure that we are not allocating funds that we don't have. I let him know that the concern that you have is that we might miss out on the opportunity. The Chapman City, through the fire department's budget, will be funding 50% of this. And then Amber will be working with Nick on applying for grants, and this will come out of the hazardous equipment funds. So he does not want to see a budget increase, obviously, because that's something that you all don't want. So, but he's comfortable if you prefer to put it on the agenda for today. So that's fine.
Of course, that's one of the difficult areas we always run into is we set a budget, 6 months ago and so on. And in some ways, maybe you could anticipate some of these things. And then again, the timeliness of when they come up, it's sometimes not practical to push something back an entire year so we can put it in the budget next late summer.
And just speaking to the hazardous equipment fund, technically it is budgeted in a way, those dollars are not anticipated to be spent. It will not over exceed any dollars if you were to use the hazardous equipment fund. And so it will not cause a budget increase for 2026 in this matter. What I can't speak to is that we won't have a challenge in the future to where, those funds will need to be replenished if the 800 radios say come in over budget and we have to utilize more of that sales tax dollars for that, and we're unable to fund the hazardous equipment fund later with some of the remaining 800 radio communication dollars. And so if that were to be the case, then we may have to come up with some, at that time, we could be looking multiple budgets down the road before we have to make that decision. And we should know pretty soon after the 800 radios are completed.
So it wasn't specified. I mean, we have
Yeah, and it won't
money
be
in
an
that
actual
fund,
budget
but
increase currently, but I can state that.
okay. I think
Take a break.
we'll take a break for about 30 minutes or 25 or so, and maybe about 10:55 or so we can queue back up, and we'll start at 11 then.
I've seen some get, it's a little more aggressive than what I remember the basketball game, but there's some of the games they let them get by with a lot of stuff, and there's other games where they call every single.
Yeah, touch fouls, yeah.
Who the officiating crew is, but.
So I saw Greg Brown. And I said, I wish you were the ref out there. And of course, he's very careful what he says because he refs and also superintendent. He said, oh, I don't know. You know, they're calling the game.
Yeah.
And then he said, well, that's my brother-in-law is the coach on the other team. And there's two of the assistant coaches are his brother-in-laws and then a couple of nephews on the team.
Yeah.
So I thought,
Yeah, if they're gonna be loose with us, as long as they're doing it, that students are calling and doing it. Yeah, it's kind of funny, at one game, they will call every little foul, because then another one will just let it go, and they see what happens, and it gets pretty rowdy out there sometimes. So,
but
I don't know.
yeah, that'd be one of those, if you could watch the game on film and see how rough it was that first half. Amazed.
Yeah.
Again, if you can't find something.
So, for example, I just didn't want to catch off guard.
It's like somebody's been using it.
Actually, just looking at the new track coaching.
Because we do have one, but I think it's. And they don't bring it on.
Yeah, I think
There's just one addition to the agenda.
Okay.
Other sports, you don't have to do it necessarily a year-round commitment.
Have we done that in something?
No, we've only done about. Some of these, they've been just sitting aside all. So, yeah. And this one to June 10th is what- but then the new guys-
Sure, Hathaway. It's announced that it's going to get his entire salary to buy Berkshire Hathaway.
Legal jail.
Pretty sure she's.
His annual salary is $20,000. He's got that many confidence in his office.
That little bit of insider trading, is that legal? Can we do that?
Yeah, I think he can. Oh, yeah, I don't. Never thought about that. Yeah. At this time, I'll call the March 5th, 2026 meeting to order for the Dickinson County Commission. And would you please stand and join in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do have one addition to the agenda, and that was in regards to, we received some information about the possible purchase of a rescue truck for District Number 3. And so we will add that for discussion and possible action to the agenda. And with that, I would move that we approve the amended agenda.
I'll second it.
We have the motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And as you can see, there are just two of us today, and we have a commissioner that's unable to attend today, and so there'll just be two of us, which represent a quorum. The consent agenda includes the minutes of the February 26th meeting, also accounts payable of $852,826.63, Hand checks of $51.36, SD Security, $4,380, Indigent Defense, $11,600, Utilities, $22,865.46, abated tax of $1,417.80, and added tax of $1,629.98.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it. We have the motion and second for approval of the consent agenda. Any questions or anything you want to put aside? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Commission comments, Ron?
I did spend a little time yesterday at the juvenile detention center. It seems like I spent a lot of time there. Everything is working fine. Glad to get the moisture we're getting now. That's helping out a lot. And so that's basically all I have.
Okay. I will just kind of go through a few things. They had Capitol Day at Topeka. The Kansas Association of Counties put that on. And our county, along with other counties, were there. Commissioners were there, but also other elected officials and departments were there. And it gave us a chance to visit with some legislators, and probably Janelle, she was there and she might touch on some of that in her report. Also earlier in our work study session, as I mentioned, we've added it to the agenda, but we received information for a rescue truck for our District 3, which is includes the Chapman Fire District and other townships. Then Amber Pfeiffer, was our emergency communications director, and she gave us information. We also received a little bit of information on another item for a conditional use permit discussion, and we received that information from Tim Hamilton, and also had comments from some people in attendance. And then Martin Tannehill also gave us a brief report, and his also is going to report is going to be on an item on the agenda. And so that's all I have. At this time, we do not have any petitions or proclamations. If there's anything that is not on the agenda that you would want to comment about, this would be opportunity to comment, and you can either raise your hand and be recognized, or if you're online, signal that you want to be recognized to speak. And we haven't set aside the guidelines, but rather than have Janelle, our administrator, read through those, I thought I'd see if there were any comments first, and if there aren't, we'll skip the reading of that particular, of the rules. They're still in place, but doesn't appear that we have any comments. We're going to go ahead to our report of county officers, and Janelle, if you'd give us your report, please.
Commissioners, as you mentioned, we participated in County Day at the Capitol this week, and it's always very encouraging to go there and watch how we come together, the affiliate organizations, the counties, opportunity to meet with our legislators. We attended a couple different committee meetings. If anybody has the opportunity to do that, I would encourage them to see how it works. That's what you elected those folks to do, and ask questions, come in and ask us questions. Any of the departments here would be more than happy to answer anything that comes up. So we do have a couple open positions in the county in IT, as an IT technician, and EMS. The Public Works Director has attended a pre-construction meeting regarding the 1160 1100 Avenue Bridge. Still do not have a start date on that, even though the contract has started. This is a KDOT project. So as soon as I get a date, I will let you know. The EMS Director, and John has confirmed this, will present information on the community paramedicine program to Rotary on March the 6th on Friday. The Appraiser's Office is preparing for upcoming hearings, and the grant application is open for Dickinson County Celebrates America's 250th. So you can go to the DKEDC's website, you can go to our website, and fill out an application for that, and then they'll be reviewed, and then we'll bring them back to the County Commission for approval. So do you have any questions for me?
I'll just add on that, for the Dickinson County Celebrates America's 250th. This is the time where the applications are open, and so there's going to be 1 month of that, and then at the end of the month is the deadline for submission, and then after that there will be a review of the applicants, and hope to make announcements or awards and find out about the projects. We'll make that public in April. Okay, I don't believe we have anything from our county counselor. And he does come once a month, but also if there's anything that we need in particular, he's just a phone call away. Under notices and communications, I'll go call on our county clerk, Jennifer Gayton.
I do not have anything for this week.
Okay. One thing I'm going to mention too, that Janelle had said that, going down to the state capitol, I mean, really that belongs to the people of Kansas. And if you ever have opportunity to go through there, there's lots of things to look at, along with the legislators being down there. But architecturally, it's just a beautiful structure, but also it belongs to the people of Kansas. And just like you think of the courthouse here, I mean, this is where we do a lot of our work. But this is a facility that belongs to the people of our county, and so we welcome people to come to visit, conduct business, or ask questions. The doors are open. We'll go ahead and move on to consideration of resolutions. And Janelle, I'll go ahead and have you tell us about this resolution that we're going to consider today.
Commissioners, this is resolution 030526. This is the declaration of surplus property, and per KSA 19-211, this is the process that you follow when there's property that can no longer be used for the public purpose for the county for our work that's required. So it's just a listing of property that we have. And as you can see, there are quite a few vehicles on there. We do have a sprayer, we have some cameras, scanners. So most likely these will go online on Purple Wave here in the next month or so, probably, Marcus.
Yeah, I think they usually ends up being about a 5 or 6 week process. So once they're surplus, I get a hold of Purple Wave. They'll come in, take the pictures, and usually they set a sale date for after they have all their pictures and things done. I think it runs for about 3 or 4 weeks that the sale will be open.
We're following the process to declare them surplus and then list them for sale. So it'll be a public auction. So we're just asking that you approve the resolution.
They're sold as is, and there are descriptions and opportunity for inspection. And very often we receive more money through an auction than what we thought we would get as far as market value. So you just never know how those are going to take place, but it also gives us money where those dollars will go back into the general budget. I would go ahead and make the motion that we adopt resolution 030526, declaring the list that we have of surplus property.
I'll second it.
We have the motion and second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We do not have any unfinished business. We'll go on to other business. The first thing we have is to consider a conditional use permit. This is for Jennifer Guidry, I believe is the pronunciation. It's 2659 Nicholson Road. And we probably need to have a little bit of discussion on this, but we want to get information as far as what this involves.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Tim Hamilton, Planning and Zoning. Please find the information regarding the case CC 2601 for your consideration. This is a request by Jennifer Gertie to establish a seasonal produce stand, as well as the sale of small non-food items, which staff would classify as handmade craft of the applicant's residence at 2659 Dickinson Road. The request comes a month after a similar request was heard by the Planning Commission from another applicant that withdrew their application before the Planning Commission could render a decision. Roadside produce stands are becoming more popular within unincorporated Dickinson County. After consideration of the applicant's request and staff's findings, the Planning Commission determined that the request is actually approved by right for the agricultural districts as an accessory use, not needing a CUP. However, the commission did acknowledge that certain provisions allowing for larger stands through a CUP may need to be addressed in the regulations going forward. The Planning Commission is recommending refunding the applicant's $200 application fee. This fee is used to pay for the publication and notice of the case sent to property owners and is typically not refunded unless the applicant withdraws their application prior to publication. While the Planning Commission questions staff's reasoning in bringing this case before them, it should be pointed out that the applicant's property is within a higher density residential area, as this lot is adjacent to a single-family residential subdivision zoned R1 to the east and another residentially zoned subdivision to the north zoned suburban residential. This is indicated on the staff report. Typically, in such developments, traffic may become an issue with the roadside uses of this type. However, staff does not feel that this particular use would cause an issue. Nicholson Road does provide the entry and exit for those subdivisions that are adjacent to it. Also, staff wanted to avoid the appearance of any arbitrary enforcement since there was a previous similar request as stated earlier. Staff is recommending approval of the condition of this conditional use permit on the conditions that any signage made behind the applicant's property line and the applicant abide by any state of Kansas Cottage Industry Food Act. And based on what we had talked about earlier, staff does not have an issue with a refund. We just have to make sure that going forward, we have to being sure that when we do refund, that we may want to amend our provision and that going forward to allow for this type of thing. But other than that, staff going forward can, because of the ambiguity of the location, what staff can do is going forward, any request of this nature can be interpreted as a home occupation that I could approve administratively and not have to go through the planning commission unless there are other things like, let's say, size of the structure is going to be involved, or in the case of a commercial kitchen also requests. So other than that, I don't have anything else at this point.
Okay. I'm just curious, did any neighbors protest or
No.
raise concerns?
No, all the neighbors were in support of it. This is more of a neighborhood type stand. It's just that because of the location on Nicholson, and Nicholson does provide the entry and exit for those subdivisions around there. It's not like it's on Range Road way up 3500 or something. Yeah, it is a little bit higher density, and so traffic might be an issue, but it's not going to be based on what I determined. But I felt like I had to get clarification from the planning commission.
Now, also, there's no building permit required, so this isn't an instance where they're putting up a permanent type structure.
No.
This is more of a temporary
Yeah,
type thing.
And-
They can sell some eggs or produce or
correct. It's seasonal.
vegetables or
Yeah.
handcrafts.
Yes.
Okay, and you start to see more of those around the county. I mean, just from a.
They're becoming a lot more popular, and that's why I wanted to get clarification as to how to, and so what I'm probably going to just do is just as I explained, and just interpret it as a permitted by right use as long as they meet certain provisions.
We had received comments in our work study session
The
also.
applicant is here too.
Yes,
And the applicant, I appreciate on the applicant, I think what they were doing is, and I mean, correct what they had to it, just didn't want to be in error and do something they weren't supposed to do, but it's probably something they really didn't need to get permission for the type of
right.
business they have. But if it would ever expand where they wanted to put up a permanent structure and, creating more traffic, and all of a sudden it turns into say a full-fledged retail establishment. But I guess this is just to share some of the produce and things you have, and maybe pocket a little bit of money and have some fun doing it. And your little boy's nodding his head. I think he's all on board for that. So,
Hoping to get my chickens to earn their keep.
okay. And your name is, just for the record?
Jennifer.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. Did I mispronounce your name? Okay. It seemed like there used to be a baseball player and his name was Gidry is the way they pronounced it. So I assumed maybe, but I'm sure it gets mispronounced occasionally. Okay. So if we chose the route to refund the $200 fee, because they probably really didn't need to go through this process, do we really need to approve the CUP, or can we just let that go by because they're already authorized to do that?
Technically, you have been, the way that it's written in the regulations, it comes before you, whether you decide to go ahead and sign off on it and you can just declare that it is a permitted use. And then we can go on from there, and you don't have to necessarily.
Or if we just said it's not necessary for this approval for her to go ahead
At this time.
the family and operate their business as it's presented.
Right.
And that way we don't have
Sure.
people wondering why did this CUP get a refund and the next one doesn't, or.
Right. That's.
Lynn, can I clarify?
Yes, please, go ahead and step up to the podium and give your name, and then Ron, if you have questions or concerns, please bring them up.
Barb Barrett, rural Dickinson County member of the zoning board. I was present at that meeting. So this was rather unique in that we did not make a zoning board did not make a recommendation to approve or deny. As we reviewed this application, which was very well done, we, in reviewing that, determined that the activities that are contained are already allowed based on section 21, 109, paragraph 1, which refers to the Ag 40, which this is zoned as. Bullet points E and G are both activities, the raising of the produce and the eggs, as well as the handmade items as a home occupation. So the board with seeing that's already an accepted permitted use, did not recommend approval or denial of the CUP because it already was. We didn't feel
So it's already permitted without,
permitted, yes.
whether we do this officially or
Yes.
otherwise.
Understand that we've seen a variety of cups, and there's a reference to a withdrawn application. The difference in those applications were stunningly different in how they described what they were doing. This applicant was very clear in home raised eggs, produce from a garden, and any small handmade non-food items. The withdrawn one was very arbitrary and not real clear on what their intentions were.
Okay.
So
Ron, do you have a comment or question? Or
No, I understand what's going on.
I think the value of the planning commission and county staff working together is pulling the broad range of experience and perspectives. And our zoning system works best when we have the open discussion. And if, there are oversights or anything, we correct those as they happen. So that's what I've got. Thank you.
So I would go ahead and make the motion that we set aside this CUP 2801, since it's not necessary to take action on it, but it also Jennifer at that residence can still go ahead and procedurally operate and do what she wanted to do, and it'll be consistent with what's already done throughout the county because it is permitted.
And again, this is something that I did analyze, and I looked at initially, and I told her, I said, well, I think this will just be an accessory use, but then I looked at the location, and since traffic was another issue that had come up on that previous one that had been withdrawn, I said, maybe it needs to go forward. So this going forward, I will just make sure that these types of uses are just treated as I would any other home occupation.
Okay.
And just allow them by right, with the exception of a couple of provisions.
And I understand what you did. I mean, I know that it's, I understand the steps you went through because we do want to protect the area to make sure, things are properly done, whether it's a farm or household or whatever, anytime some sort of building or structure goes in, but But anyway, I did have that motion that we go ahead and just set this aside.
I'll second your motion.
So we have the motion and the second. Is there any clarification, Janelle, on this that needs to be?
Do you want to address the recommendation to refund the $200?
Yes, I would go ahead and amend this because I meant to have that in there, that the $200 be refunded.
And I'll second that.
Okay. So we have the motion and second on the amendment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The amendment is carries and is now attached to the original motion. So now I'll go ahead and make the motion that we set aside that CUP 2601.
And I will second it.
We have the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I appreciate all the comments we received, and it's helpful to kind of have some of these discussions. You know, sometimes we don't have to just lock right into something and do it because it's on the agenda. So, and Jennifer, good luck, and glad. And you've moved here fairly recent into our county, so welcome to the county, and looks like you'll have some good help. Okay. The next item we have is the approval of the 2026 Annual Management Plan and Noxious Weed Eradication Report. And Martin Tannehill had reviewed that with us in the work study session. It's just a procedural housekeeping thing to make sure that we're in compliance with the state. And so I would go ahead and move that we approve this 2026 Annual Management Plan and Noxious Weed Eradication Report for 2026.
And I'll second it.
We have the motion and second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The next item we have, and we had discussion on this, and this is to authorize District 3 has identified a rescue truck that they would like to have. And we have the chief here. I think it'd be helpful just to kind of explain for those that maybe are watching. So if you'd give your name and the purpose and kind of what you had in mind and some of the funding mechanisms for this.
Nick Santo, Fire Chief at Chapman Fire Department. We are responsible for the Rescue 3 district of the county, providing basically technical rescue to a third of the county.
I'm bringing it up.
Northeast corner. So currently, we took over the rescue responsibilities from District 1 about 2 years ago. When we did that, we pulled the extrication tools were given from District 1 that were purchased by the county to us. We purchased other equipment to go with that to make us more robust and able to handle different emergencies that come up in the county. With that being said, we originally put all this equipment onto our structured fire engine, which is built with cabinetry and such to house the equipment needed for structure fires, not for vehicle extrications and technical rescue stuff. Bottom line is that we ran out of room. We purchased a enclosed trailer that we started housing some of this other stuff on. And we ran into a couple instances now where we try to triage the call that we're going to see what equipment we're going to need. But unforeseen things happen where we've had to send people back to the station to get the equipment needed to perform that rescue or what needed to be done on that call. So with that, we've identified, talking with the other rescue chiefs in the county, which is Abilene Fire Department and Harrington Fire Department, the best suited to complement the other rescues in the county would be for us to pursue a smaller four-wheel drive rescue vehicle that would still house all the equipment that we need, but afford us the off-road capabilities that their bigger trucks don't have, along with the ability to traverse, I-70 and the state highways when we have these snowfalls that we're tending to have now every January. So that being said, I've identified a few trucks that fit the build. The one that I presented in front of you there, 2002 F550 is a diesel engine at pre-emissions, so we don't have any issues with emissions going forward. 36,000 miles on it. It's on its second owner. It's currently located in Indiana. They have their list priced at 55,000. I offered them a low 40,000 to see what they come back with. They may accept. They said they're open to any offers. So as far as for funding, I have the ability to take a loan against our Firefighter Relief Act, basically a retirement fund from the fire department in the amount of around $30,000. And then we, as a fire department in the city, have to pay that back to the FRA over whatever period of time we deem necessary. So that would come back out of our budget, out of the fire department budget over the next 6 to 7 to 8 years, somewhere in there. So I'm coming to you guys, to the commissioners, to see if there's some funding available to help us, since the majority of our calls are out in the county area, not primarily in the city. Said about 90% of the calls are county-based. 57 calls last year total for our department. You know, we do mutual aid or dual response areas with Rescue 1 and Rescue 2. So we're always overlapping and helping each other out. Always a phone call away. So that being said, I'm asking for, you know, a match or whatever you guys can put towards the purchase of this truck or a similar truck. Again, it's an online market. So by the time I get done here today, they might say, yeah, we sold it. Or the previous one I was looking at that I was going to bring to you, they called me last night and decided that, well, they're going to keep it because they don't want to get rid of it. So.
Now, we have other rescue trucks. Janelle, you had mentioned that, and those were funded before
Yes,
Homeland
with
Security grants.
Yes, back in 2005, and we have one stationed in Abilene and one stationed in Harrington. And the county purchased the vehicles, but then we turn the responsibility, we have MOUs with those entities to the fire departments in those communities to run them because they have the personnel that can manage them. It also means that they maintain them, they pay the insurance, they have the training requirements that go along with it. They pay the manpower to handle that as well. So, and this would be the same thing with Rescue 3.
And if I may add to that, like the annual inspection and service of the rescue tools themselves, the fire department covers as well. That's an annual $1,000 inspection and maintenance fee, at least for us. And I think you guys have more tools.
Yeah.
So,
We're spending more than that. But
yeah. So for us, it's $1,000 fee annually to have them inspected.
And the other good thing, Nick noted that this truck, if he's able to acquire it, does have rescue equipment already on it. So he can kind of pick out the best pieces of equipment and use them, and then probably,
It'll give us ultimately, it'll give us a spare set in the county, and if somebody's set went now, we wouldn't have a department without one. We could shuffle it around to be used for that, so.
And with our size of the county and interstate and so on, there could be something in the township, country road, but there's always the possibility 2 events. Emergencies could come up at the same time or 3, so it's good that we have.
I mean,
overlap.
So you guys were on the west side of the county and we were on the east side of the county on I-70. So.
kind of get cut off. As for the funding for it, because I know you're going to ask about that.
Yes.
Okay. You want Marcus to take it? No. So that is a concern, obviously, because this is not an item that was budgeted per se, but we do have the all hazard rescue truck fund that is included in our budget. So we would utilize funding out of that. And Amber Piper, our emergency communications director, was in during the study session, and she will work with Nick on applying for a grant that to help offset some of those costs, if at all possible, if we're awarded that. And that won't open until April.
And we have a higher chance of getting, the county has a higher chance of getting a grant than I will as a municipality, because you can put it as a regional, type thing. So I guess ultimately in the end, I can get 30,000, so I'm asking for a maximum match from the county of 30,000. Be it that I'm going to do my due diligence to get the best price on the vehicle possible.
Okay, and it wasn't specified, but Marcus, as Janelle mentioned, we do have that in the budget.
The all hazardous equipment funds have been budgeted, basically not anticipated to spend, but for budget authority. So you have the budget authority of up to $180,000 that would be available, because that's the balance of that at this time. And those funds have been set aside for rescue trucks. Just more specifically, we had talked about the ones in Harrington and Abilene at the time, but I think this would be another certifiable use of those funds. If you would.
Wouldn't show up on the budget again for quite a while then, most likely,
Yeah, and it would not affect necessarily today or
year to year.
the budgeted dollars at this point, and there is some potential that we'll have some remaining sales tax dollars that will be able to help replenish some of those funds as well. And then if that grant does come through and we're able to get some grant dollars, we may be able to replace those funds with that as well.
Okay. So kind of for clarification, we would have some sort of memorandum of understanding that would point out that the Chapman Fire Department or district would take care of the maintenance and the certification and checking of equipment and so on. And the request we have is just to come up with the approximate 50%. And so it really shouldn't exceed 30,000, and most likely, hopefully it'll be less.
Yes.
And then even if we get that grant, that's going to bring that down lower. But I think what we could do is I'll go ahead and give the motion that we enter this agreement to towards the purchase of that rescue truck for District 3, that it's a 50-50 split. So the county one-time contribution on that would be not to exceed 30,000, but would be 50-50 of what the amount is that you're hopefully successful on a bid. And so that would be my motion.
I'll second your motion.
We have the motion, we have the second. Any other discussion or any need for further clarification? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
We can send it to Bill.
Let me just, good to have Chief Strunk here also from Abilene, and I know he kind of works on the same things, but it's important that we have all these groups working together, and they do a great job of taking care of the county and have mutual aid to kind of cover each other's area. If there is something that comes up and calls for that. Is there anything else to bring before the commission?
I don't have anything.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it.
We have the motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries, we're adjourned.
So do either one of you wish to attend the NIMS class next week in Salina?